Hey mom, today's math test reminded me that what we often label as a subject in school is never as straightforward as it seems. On the surface, it was simply a review of skills we've practiced all semester. But as I sat and observed, I began to realize that what was being tested was not only their grasp of numbers, but also their ability to connect, interpret, and make meaning. A test, after all, is never just about answers. It's a mirror of how a child's mind brings together many different strands of learning at once. The pan balance questions were perhaps the clearest example. At first glance, they appear simple. An object on one side, weights on the other, and the task of deciding which is heavier, lighter, or equal. Yet behind each of those decisions lies a remarkable chain of thought. My students had to first understand the visual itself, what it represented, how it was oriented, and which way the balance was tipping. Then they had to interpret the instructions in English, a language that for many of them still feels unfamiliar. Only then could they finally make a judgment about the relationship between the objects. What seemed to be a single act of solving was actually the culmination of perception, translation, reasoning, and decision-making. It reminded me that real learning is never flat. It happens in layers, and often those layers must stack together invisibly before an answer can ever surface. The word problems added another layer of complexity. They placed the students inside little narratives. To an adult, a sentence like "Dad bakes 5 pancakes and eats one" is straightforward. But for a child, it requires immersion into a tiny narrative. They must imagine the situation, hold on to the sequence of events, and translate those details into numbers. It's part math, part language, and part storytelling. In that sense, word problems don't simply test computation. They test whether a child can step into a story and reorganize it into symbols. They test whether imagination can meet logic in the same space. It highlighted how inseparable the different domains of learning really are. A child might know how to subtract perfectly well, but unless they can grasp the story or instruction, the answer remains just out of reach. Likewise, a student might understand the English perfectly, but if they lost track of the story in their imagination, the math would not follow. It became clear to me that success in learning is less about compartmentalized skills and more about the bridges between them. Reading, imagining, reasoning, and calculating are skills that don't stand alone. They intertwine, and in their intertwining lies real growth.
Class, what number is the same as 2? 2. So you draw 2 apples. Are we ready for the test?
Yeah!
Are we ready for the test?
Yeah!
Okay.
In the end, today's test reminded me of a larger truth. Education is less about mastering discrete subjects and more about learning how to integrate them. Math, language, and observation are part of the same whole. And when my students bring all those pieces together, they're not just answering test questions. They're preparing themselves to interpret, navigate, and make sense of their world. I went to a friend's birthday party and that was it for my night. Okay, love you. Bye.